marked off. It's those specific tiles. That's the lines that of the grouting that it follows are the lines of the tiles.
Is there anything on the tiles, like writing, or?
There's no writing or anything that you can distinguish. That just as you put the rocks in or do various experimentations and investigations, you find that it is showing no weight in there and weight outside of there.
Is it from the investigations? Is it like a floor to ceiling kind of deal, or is it just a very specific area?
So the rocks that you put in there hover about the same height, about 3-ish feet. You push down on them, they go down. They're completely movable, but they seem to. The maximum is about 3 feet high, right about where the stone is. You do notice that the stone, the massive monolith, 10 feet tall, is affected of the same way as the little rocks. You can push it just as easily as you do the pebbles.
Siobhan looks over at Demble. Have you heard of anything like this in your learning? Studies, my bad.
Tony?
You probably roll an intel check. Or an arcana check.
Aside from the, levitation spells that don't seem to function like this, you haven't heard of anything.
I pull out my wand and wave it and point it at the rock and say, Blizzle fit! And I use Mage Hand to try to flip it.
And Siobhan will step back quickly.
So, when you say flip it, are you talking turn it over there or move it out of the area?
No, just try to flip it, like rotate it.
And it rotates completely weightless, then continues to rotate.
Well, let's come back to this. Let's see if there's anything else like this around, because he said do not touch. The elder said something like do not touch the stones or leave them in place or something.
Oh, did they really?
If I remember correctly, that's one of the things they yelled out. He went downstairs. Sorry, the boy went downstairs right when I was talking.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's leave it alone for now. Let's continue to proceed.
Okay. So
that's what he said, Tony, right?
Endlessly. It is. It is what he said. They said, and you notice there's no friction. There's nothing. The laws of inertia seem to be unhindered here.
Okay. Well, let's continue on and see what we can see. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Agreed.
Give me a second. Okay.
Yep. Okay, cool. Scout ahead.
Yep.
If anybody was curious, the hazelnut chocolate puff pastry tastes awesome. Consequently, that was Matt's nickname in the Army.
Wow.
Hazelnut puff? I don't know. You said it was a little salty, but whatever.
So, I'm assuming you're sending Ragnar ahead?
Yep. Peek around that corner there.
The hallway extends a good 50, 60 feet and ends in a stone door.
He's still got his perception.
There are no traps or that he can detect, and the door doesn't look like it even has the capability of locking.
Okay. Shaban will come up and investigate the door.
It's a door.
There we go. Can I tell how to open it? Like push me, pull you, or what?
Either one would be sufficient.
Okay, Shaban draws an arrow and has Ragnar push open the door.
Woo! Nice roll.
Well, I didn't get a nice roll when my stealth was crazy. What the hell?
No, I said that. You just weren't listening.
Probably because you were whispering.
So, okay.
When we were walking up,
That's like half a thought.
can everyone hear me?
Can now.
I heard that.
Damn it, I was pushing the wrong button. Okay, so there are people running behind us. They're running towards us right now.
Okay. Ragnar still pushes the door open.
Okay. So, in this room, I'm going to give you a quick description. What you do see is the one thing that catches your eye as Oglavone calls out from behind you is a large stone dwarf, and it has a frame around it made of what looks to be solid wood, but that's about all you get of the room before you hear Oglavone call out.
Okay. Shaban will come back up here and draw her bow. And I guess Ragnar would run back too.
Alright, guys. You're going to need to roll initiative as you hear people, heavy boots, stomping. They don't even sound like they're making even a remotest effort to stay quiet, but they are running down the hallway. So you're still hearing it, but you're able to react first. Now, just because you rolled initiative doesn't mean you're in combat. Also doesn't mean you're not in combat. Just letting you know.
Shaban will take a ready to action to shoot if anything becomes hostile towards the group.
Okay. So we'll take that as your ready to action there. The first thing you see is a person runs in to your view, and they're wearing leather armor. You can fire if you want to. He just runs into your view. That's a hit, but you don't have him targeted.
Yeah, I do. Oh, sorry, I got Ragnar. Sorry, my bad.
You're fine.
Still doing great sneak attack damage.
Still doing great. So, the guy runs into your view and catches an arrow into the shoulder. He's wearing leather armor. He has a scimitar in his hand, but you notice a light crossbow. The armor looks like it's strapped on, but it looks like it was done so hastily. And on the front of the leather armor is an inlay that was carved into the armor when it was made, and it's this symbol.
Isn't that the same symbol that was carved into the skulls of the other guys?
Yes,
the dead bodies?
The exact same symbol.
Okay.
So as he runs around the corner, catches an arrow, he yells out in his cockiest voice, "We are the bringers of woe. We have come to reward your curiosity." And then he opens fire he pulls his crossbow and takes a shot at Oglavone because he's in the front. And an arrow embeds itself in Oglavone's leg. And then the bringer of woe, as he calls himself, runs behind the wall, no longer in your sight.
Oh, hell no.
And shortly thereafter, you see another one run up. This time he has his crossbow out, and he takes aim at Oglavone as well. The arrow goes wild and hits the stone next to your head, but he runs back towards the left, out of your sight.
Shaban calls out, or says to Dimble, "Can you have Grimly watch the rear for us?"
Absolutely.
A third guy, they're all wearing identical armor, runs up and releases an arrow before retreating to the upper right. He retreats that's not what I wanted to do. This way. The crossbow bolt smashes against the stone at Oglavone's feet and doesn't have any effect.
Okay, so Dimble sees this going on. Two bandits went to the left, correct?
2 to the left and 1 up to the right, correct.
1 to the right. Sorry, just thinking for a moment.
I liked it a lot.
Dimble is going to ready an action to cast a spell as soon as they peek out from around the cover.
Okay, which spell?
It's going to be Fire Knife.
All right, got that. Are you wanting to stay there?
Yeah, I'll stay here.
Okay. Probably could do with some nice bandit music. Let's see.
Smokey and the Bandit?
Exactly. Alright, so another bandit runs up and triggers the ready to action from Dimble.
Awesome. Okay, that's Bandit 9. And I will attack with Fire Knife.
That's a hit.
Okay, so it's so what you see is this shard of magma fling out towards that bandit, and he takes that damage. But then it explodes on him, and anyone within 5 feet of that point also takes 2d6 damage.
Okay, go ahead and roll the 2d6. I'll apply it. So does the same guy take the 2d6 as well, or does he just take the initial damage?
It says the target and each creature within 5 feet of the point where the explosion occurs must succeed on a dexterity saving throw or take 2d6 damage. So they gotta do a dexterity saving throw.
We can do that. Let's do some saving throws here. What's your DC?
It is. Got it here. Spell save DC is 15. Is our proficiency 3 now? No, it's 2. So yeah, it's 15.
Okay. They both manage to dive out of the way of your magma.
Okay.
And that is as far as that bandit can move, and he caught a lava knife to the chest. So he looks like he's surprised more than severely injured, but he's definitely surprised.
Okay. Sorry, my son wanted a pirate bandana on.
You're good, dude. Who does? I mean, who doesn't? I'm wearing
That's
one right
awesome.
now.
Me too, totally.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out how to this level of monk. No shoes.
No shoes does help a level of monk.
Talking to the boy, but okay. Okay. And Ragnar will go up there, see who's around.
Okay. I'll approve that, and give me a second to unmask everything. Everyone.
He does a real quick look around to see and sees that Bandit 17 has been a little messed up, and will attack him.
That's a hit.
And he will use a key point for 2 bonus attacks.
That first hit killed the bandit, broke his neck as his head hit the wall.
Okay, so that's it then. I Can I still use my key point for the bonus attack, flurry of
You
blows?
can, and you can target someone else.
He will go after Bandit 9 with flurry of blows.
That's a hit. Double punch to the chest.
Nice.
So, I've mentioned this before, and I'm not going to. The only person who's going to be exempt is going to be Ragnar, because Matt's playing too. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to get, now that I think this is session 6, or a month and a half into this, and this is going to be the initial start of the original, the main storyline, I should say. So what I'd like to get is a general. Doesn't have to be super complicated, doesn't have to be super eloquent. A general description of your attack, just to get into it and get beyond just throwing dice. So if you're swinging a maul, you can just go low as swinging a maul. If you're throwing a spell, you can just generally describe it, or you can be as in-depth as you would like. But
Okay, Ragnar slashes the first. Got Bandit with his sword. Bandit drops like a fucking stone. And on the follow through, he kicks Bandit 9 in the head, and then with his offhand punches him in the throat. Hence the throat punch.
well, there you go. I went ahead and moved the next one. I'm not sure if you had him
Nope,
selected.
that's it.
And Ogie, you see Ragnar run through swinging swords and punching people in the throats, which I feel like's rude, but
And they fired at Ogie.
Self-defense.
so before you attack Oglavone, if you're gonna rage, I would recommend applying the rage, because it wore off from the last time you applied it, so you may want to apply that if you're going to.
Okay, I'm gonna hit him with my hammer.
The bandit dives out of the way of your hammer just enough for you to hit the little stone monolith there in the floating area, which sends it spinning even faster. Are you wanting to leave Greenwing on the combat, or you want me to throw him to the bottom?
Actually, I want him to fly down. Here.
Okay.
He's gonna keep a lookout. So he's gonna have a ready action whenever he sees anyone coming that way. He's gonna fly back to me.
Got it.
Alright. Matthias would run up the tunnel there, and with his hand on his holy amulet, he'd point at the bandit 9 and say a few words that I can't come up with right now, and try to cast Sacred Flame at him.
I mean, I don't know if it's copyrighted, but I feel like Fuzzle Note might already be an option.
Oh no, that's my thing.
Yeah.
That's
Copyright.
my thing.
Trademark.
You can borrow it if you want.
Alrighty, so
Yes, a dexterity saving throw.
So for that, on your spell, next to Sacred Flame, you should have a dice and a drop of blood. You want to click the dice once you have the guy targeted. That will automatically roll his and tell you whether he succeeds or not.
Neato.
And that's just
Good job.
how you know.
And
Nice.
he's engulfed in searing flames.
He is indeed, and he screams as the flames engulf him, and he falls to the ground trying to knock the flames out, and in his smacking and jostling, he does manage to hit the monolith that's been spinning and spinning and spinning, and as a consequence, he shifts it slightly outside of the range, and the monolith falls as gravity retakes it and crushes his skull.
Nice.
The bandit still in the hallway moves forward and takes a look at everyone, and he takes aim at Matthias with his crossbow, loosing a bolt, I should say, which missed. But it looks like he is finding you to be a fairly large threat there, Matthias, with your people setting fire on abilities.
That one person fire. Out to get you.
And the second bandit moves up and does the same thing, releases a bolt at you, which also misses. But they seem to find your people flaming ability offensive.
Shaban uses her cunning action and becomes hidden once Matthias is done moving.
He moved up, that's his next move.
Okay. And she'll turn cunning action to become hidden and come forward 20 and fire at Bandit 8. She pops around Matthias and lets go with her bow.
That's a hit.
And as her arrow's away, and it lodges right into the meaty part of the guy's shoulder because she was aiming for his head. And that will be the end of those 20. Yep. And that'll be the end of her move. And Dimple moves forward and says, "Fuzzy nuts." Oh, my bad.
So this
no,
bandit...
no. Completely different awkward phrase.
Yeah. What is wrong with you? How's that even appropriate?
How is anything I ever say appropriate?
The bandit runs forward and starts drawing his scimitar and tries to cut at the monk he just saw slashing and swinging. And he misses Ragnar and smashes his scimitar into the wall. The bandit, on the other hand, moves down behind Ragnar and attacks him from behind, seeming to work in concert with his friend.
Alright. Dimble rushes forward. He sticks his tongue out and then flicks his wand and says, "Snollygoster!" And flings a firebolt at this bandit.
Dimble has some fucking wands out the ass.
That's a hit.
Oh yeah.
That's a lot of damage. I mean, what is wrong with you guys? You pyromaniacs? You can't just stab people. You gotta burn them to death, crush their skull.
Burn!
Hit the down arrow.
I got it.
Okay. Ragnar, having been stabbed from behind, spins and attempts to stab bandit number 8 with his short sword. And will try to stab with his short sword.
That's a miss.
But he will follow up with a backhand.
The pimp hand is strong.
And sword.
Pimp slap.
Yep. Sword whistles by the bandit's head as he leans back to get out of the way. And Ragnar continues spinning and hits him with the back of his fist as the bandit leans forward to try to attack again.
Nice.
Go on the other side, you flank him, you get advantage, Ragnar tells you.
That was pretty aggressive there, Matt.
I'm just trying to help her.
Do it!
Ogie brings down the hammer.
She drops the hammer! Damn!
So you hit him, and you hit him critically.
Wow.
And there's a high likelihood. So yeah, you hit him. You can roll your damage. And
crap.
he's like a lot dead. So that's
His head just goes flying off the side of his head.
that's your kill blow to describe however you want.
Come on, give a good one.
Come on, Tasha.
As Ogie lifts his hammer and brings it down with all his force, he slices him straight in half.
With a hammer?
Wow.
Damn! I'm not gonna fuck with Ogie. Slices him in half with a hammer. What, bitch?
Wow. Greenwing stays there, watching ever vigilantly.
Yeah, I probably saw some of the blood splatter from the hammer slicing.
The owl shits itself and keeps on fucking.
Who the fuck did that?
Matthias dodges up to next to the fallen monolith and presents his holy symbol once more. And let's try some more sacred fire.
The power of Christ compels you.
I've home.
And your compelling burns him. He is screaming for a minute, but he does not seem to appreciate your fiery personality.
You know what's sad? This is like the, 8th or 9th game Matthias has been in, and he's already a better cleric than Josh.
Why you gotta be mean to him? You know he's special.
Yeah. No, that's a compliment now.
Alrighty, I'll take it as such.
Yeah, it is. The guy I'm talking about, I killed him in our other campaign because he was such a douchebag.
Nice.
He's a
No.
bad. He's
No implication.
he built a melee cleric and then used a crossbow the whole game. He doesn't heal people when they need healed, and we're 18 months into the game, and he keeps rolling D4s when we say D6s and D8s when we say D20s.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't get involved, but apparently some players object when you destroy their loot. But this bandit drops his crossbow and rushes forward, and as he's moving, he pulls his scimitar out and tries to cut down and he connects with his scimitar against your shoulder, tearing your armor and then biting into the flesh below. This bandit, deciding to not go down around the hammer smashing, slicing, massive Goliath, stays up here, but does also attempt to cut down the Human Torch over here.
Hooray!
Damn.
He runs forward and he buries his scimitar point first into your abdomen, and it definitely hurts. It sends waves of pain. You're barely standing as he pulls the blade out with a little wiggle for the flame you threw upon him.
Shaban runs forward, dropping her bow and pulling her daggers. Sees that the bandits have both struck the cleric, gets behind bandit number 20, and attempts to stab him in the back of the skull.
That's
Hold
a
on.
hit.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. You just went a little too quick. I was like, didn't even get done rolling. I was like, hold on, hit, damn it.
It's not normally a problem I have.
Being too quick, that's not what Tasha says.
Heyo.
You are correct, sir. She stabs him in the back of the head, and nice placement. And stabs him, glances off his skull, but does tear a little nice chunk off of it. And then with her other hand, punches forward and actually punches him with the other hand. It's holding the dagger.
Punch the dagger deeper.
Hold on. I forgot to do the advantage. Let me roll it one more time. Let's see if I get it. Okay, so I did hit.
You did hit. One second, I gotta check out something. I want to verify how many times sneak attack happens per round. Yes, it's once per turn.
Thank you. And punches him in the back of the, I guess in the side of the head now.
And you punch the hand with the dagger.
There you go.
There we go. He stumbles. He looks like he's a little woozy. Might have a little brain damage.
Okay, so Dimble steps forward and says, Dongle, Snark, Catawampus, Nap, Snap! And he flicks his wand, and he casts Silent Image. And can you give me a token on the board that I can move?
Is that movable for you?
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, it's locked, but so he's gonna have an image. This is a silent image, so an image of a demon come around the corner, basically going from right there, walking out to about right there. So around the corner, like he's coming in. Like I had summoned him, and say, yield or we will feed you to the demon.
Okay, give me an intimidation check with advantage.
I know I'm incredibly intimidating, but... Oh, advantage. Wait a second.
There it is.
I'll take the 16.
So they don't drop their weapons and yield, but they do look visibly shaken, So for the remainder of this round, as they are shaken, everyone who attacks them will get advantage.
Damn it! Already got my advantage.
Till Dimble's next turn. First.
Okay. Well, would they receive a negative to their attacks, or we just get advantage?
You'll get advantage due to their distraction.
Okay.
So did you want to move, Dimble?
Yeah, I will move here.
I have to go through my sound profiles and find a nice hammer slice sound effect.
Hammer's cutting someone in half.
With a hammer. That's how hardcore our barbarian is.
That's right.
I'm a savage.
Love it.
And Ragnar will come up, skirting the anti-gravity field, apparently. Gets up there. Attack bandit number 13. As he's running up to him. Finish that move, Tom. I appreciate it. As he's running up to him, he's leading the way with the short sword and slices down with as hard as he can. And he will, with his other hand, as the blade lodges in his shoulder, he jerks it out and causes the bandit to stumble forward, and Ragnar throws a punch, funnily enough, at his throat.
That's a hit, and I can't tell if that screams from my sound effect or your house.
The boys in the other room,
Need to
I like
record
it.
that.
It's adding to the atmosphere.
So that kills him.
and he crushes his trachea, and the bandit drops, gurgling his own blood.
And as he falls, you notice as the blood splatters into the gravity field, it starts to form a ball of blood right there in the middle, 3 feet off the stone.
Watch out for the heavy.
Oh, yeah.
That's a hit. That's a dead bandit right there.
Uglabone raises his hammer and swings it as hard as he can with a grunt. And the bandit goes down.
Outstanding.
Hits him so hard in the head, he shits himself.
Love it. So, for the record, you don't have to, nobody has to really overstress themselves or overexert themselves. A nice, super descriptive cleave him in twain with a hammer is nice every once in a while, but feel free to just, general description most of the time, get fancy occasionally. Little fuzzle nut here or there.
You're welcome.
Okay, I gotta ask this, Chris. Do you write down the descriptions for the words for each spell?
No, I have a list.
That's what I'm saying. Is it like, Mage Hand is always Fuzzlenut, or...
No, I mix it up.
Okay.
I thought Fuzzlenut was Firebolt.
I don't... He used Fuzzlenut earlier for Mage Hand to spin the monolith.
That is true.
Just to be safe, Siobhan looks at the group and says, just to be safe, after we take our earnings from these bandits, Oglavone, would you and Ragnar try to push the monolith back into the anti-gravity, or the teleport, or not teleport, the anti-gravity field?
Words are hard.
Yeah.
And Siobhan smiles at Oglavone and kind of gives him a little pat on his shoulder
Ognovone
and
grunts
says, thank you.
and lifts his head up.
So it would be you advantage on your strength check.
Alrighty.
Actually, I didn't think for that.
We'll need a strength check there, Oglavone, from the front of your sheet on the left side. And it will be at advantage. So click the ADV at the bottom first, please. He has to strain a little bit, but he picks it up, him and Ragnar, and throw it back in the anti-grav field. And it takes a little bit of stabilization, but it's pretty straightforward. You get it back in there without too much discomfort, and it sits there. It's a little sticky, a little slimy. People had their brains crushed with it, but these things happen. Don't start no shit, there won't be no shit.
Right?
And with that done, then the bandits' equipment will be in the party sheet. You don't have to worry about it right now. I usually will tell you when I need you to clean out the party sheet. So for now, you can just move on.
Siobhan does actually grab one of the better scimitars
I'll be right back.
and kind of does a couple back and forth with it, checks the balance, flips it a couple times, and lets everybody know. She's like, I think I'm going to try this out, and straps it to her waist.
Okay, everything's in there, so you can grab it. The armor is still, as I said, marked with the odd symbol there, but otherwise everybody is thoroughly stripped and dead. And Greenwing has reported no unusual.
Okay. Is there an opportunity to investigate this symbol again?
You can investigate it, but it doesn't, from what you've seen before, it doesn't draw any connection to anything you've seen. It seems like a symbol that was made up, so it doesn't connect with anything you've seen before.
It doesn't have any historical significance.
Not that you have been able to draw, no.
Got it.
There it is again, if anybody is generally curious.
I think while the investigation of the symbols is going on, Matthias is trying to hold his blood in and praying quietly. Cast prayer of healing upon himself, Oglavone, and Ragnar.
1 second.
That's some nice healing. I will say, I know that Chad's used to it, Matt's used to it, but especially you, Mal, having played in person, the automation in Fantasy Grounds I like that. Looks like you got the hang of it real quick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's freaking awesome.
So it looks like Matt went to use the restroom, and Natasha's on the front porch, pottying the dog.
Can we take a break?
Let's take a break. Let's call it a 5-minute, maybe 10, and I'll just throw up a vote and click when you're back.
Righty.
Okay, I'm back. What the hell happened?
What?
Just everybody disappeared.
Break.
I blame Tony.
Probably fair.
Well,
I'm back.
welcome back.
You blame Tony for what?
Everybody leaving.
Alright, I just had a proud parent moment.
What's up?
I walked out in the living room and my wife is playing The Usual Suspects for my 12-year-old.
Nice.
Let me tell you about proud parent moments. Anytime your children are around Natasha, you're gonna lose your shit. She says things that for some reason trigger children to say things back, and it's not all children, it's my oldest. Those two together, it's a trip. We went
You
down-
mean funny lose your shit.
Oh yeah,
Crazy lose your
let's see.
shit.
Yesterday it was we went walking bike riding. The kids were on bikes. We were walking with her friend, and they were talking about how my oldest likes girls. He likes to be close to them, and he especially likes Natasha hugging on her. And she said something about women were complicated, and Natasha said, he's 9 by the way, it comes free with the vagina. And my son said, what's a vagina? Is it like a girl
Wow.
butt?
It's the front butt.
Wow.
It was,
Tasha, are you on here?
Yeah, apparently I'm a little inappropriate, but
It's
I'm sure
amazing.
everybody likes it.
It's pretty amazing. There was a lot of them. I didn't catch them all, but that was one of them. My oldest never stops talking. I thought I talked constantly, and then I had him, and when he played football, his coaches literally had a phrase that was "do not engage."
Yeah, but you gotta understand, Tony never stops talking, and their mom never stops talking, so he didn't really stand a chance.
Wow, that's an awesome story.
Sorry, I had to plug in our portable chargers. We're going hiking tomorrow. I don't know if you guys know this. I don't know how much you guys find yourself out and about, but I discovered this when I went on a mountain hiking trip. That Amazon sells these portable chargers called Anker, Anker. I bought one. They're like $30-$40, and they can charge your phone probably 4, 5, 6 times 0 to full on one charge. Don't know if you guys care, but
No, I
Yep.
like Anchor. I use their keyboards and mouses a lot.
yeah, I mean, tomorrow when we go camping, I mean, I'm charging Tasha's right now. She's going to be able to catch countless Pokemon.
So many.
We have an obsession, huh?
Just a wee bit.
I watched her make an 18-year-old cry at the park. Literally, he threw his hat and stormed off.
He was trying to take my territory. I had to beat him down.
Oh, must have been liberal snowflake. That's my Pokemon. You guys seen that post on Facebook about
No, nobody cares.
Pokemon Go came out? They were like, it goes, so I hear a knock on my door, I open it, and these 2 little kids are out there, and it's all like, sir, we're playing Pokemon Go. Can we please go in your backyard? There's a Pikachu out there. So being the decent adult that I am, I slam the door in their faces. Guess who's got Pikachu, bitches?
That would be me.
It's true. Did Mal make it back? Did
Yes,
Mal
yes.
leave?
Yeah, he was the first one back.
Alrighty, so we're going to keep rolling, maximize our time here.
Thanks
So,
for healing me.
No problem.
the Prayer of Healing's nice, isn't it?
So nice.
Why didn't we use that in the other game?
Wasn't level 3.
No, it's a joke.
He's saying, why didn't the Cleric in the other game ever use it? They were level like 8, and he had healed them like 4 times in combat.
Yeah.
I don't care. It was entertaining to me. Alrighty.
Okay.
So the token should be unlocked. You guys can move as you would like.
Ragnar goes down here with Greenwing.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the rest of the description of this room. It's a little more detailed. You're not just glancing. You actually can look. So this room is about 50 feet square on each side, and it is hewn out of the rock. The floor is rough but flat, and you can tell it's not. It's square, so it was crafted and chiseled by skilled people, but it isn't worked stone. It's not paved stone and bricked walls and mortar. You can see the actual chisel marks from the original builders. Like the rest of these areas, the ceiling is about 10 feet tall, and identical stone doors to the left and right have iron pull rings in the handles, or for handles, in each of the walls except the south. In the center of the room stands a life-sized, lifelike, and that's a testament to the stone carving quality, statue of a dwarf warrior wearing chainmail, armor, a helmet, and big iron-trod boots. The statue carries a shield on its left arm and a battle axe in its right. It's very clear the statue has been broken into roughly 3 sections. The first containing the head and upper torso, the second containing the lower torso, and then the third containing the legs. These pieces have been reassembled, but they are being held together and upright by a stout wooden frame that's much, much newer than the rest of the room. At the feet of the statue lays a dagger with blue leather handle, and several coins and gems lie on the floor in front of the statue. The floor is coated in the floor is coated in general dust and rubble, but a ring surrounds the statue made of crushed stone to the point of very fine gravel. All of the coins and gems and dagger are inside of that ring. So if you zoom in or take a look, it looks like the statue is standing on a platform, this little circle around it right here. But that outer circle is actually the ring of gravel. The statue itself is being held up by wood.
Shaban would turn to Dimble and say, Do you happen to have the spell Detect Magic?
I do. Absolutely. I can cast that. It might take a little while.
Yeah, we have somewhat decent amount of time.
Okay, so he'll cast Detect Magic as a ritual.
Okay. And the statue shows no magic, the wood, the gravel, but the dagger itself glows with a soft blue light.
All right. Shaban will tell everybody to be prepared for anything.
Dimble will say, "Don't get dead."
That is always the plan, to not get dead. She enunciates get dead.
Keep mouthing off. That's how you get cut in half with a hammer.
Right?
Boom.
So I don't talk shit on Augie.
Bet you let him in the 10 next time.
Dimble will get over behind Augie and like half climb up his back and look over his shoulder, only have his eyes peeking over.
Ragnar will take a readied action to shoot his longbow at anything that gets all nuts. So if something happens, he'll use his longbow on it. Shaban slowly reaches out and with a quick motion at the end of it snatches the dagger out of the circle.
Okay. Then nothing happens as far as the statue doesn't smash your head or anything fancy like that. But you do notice as you get it, the dagger itself is coated in dried blood, and it doesn't look like it's extremely old. Now, it's not the whole blade, it's just the end of it, I would say.
Like the tip of it or the handle of it?
The tip of it, maybe the first, from the tip, about the first half inch.
Talking about the knife, right?
Correct.
So Shaban will inspect the dagger real quick. See if there's anything on it besides the blood at the tip.
The only thing that you do notice is that the dagger is decorated, the pommel and the guard, with star motifs. As I already said, the blue leather seems a bit standoutish, and it's pretty nice. And as you do inspect it, especially with a 19, right underneath the guard is the word Resur, and I will type it out so you can see how it's spelled.
Shaban will gesture Ragnar to come closer, and when he gets about 5 feet away, she asks him if he knows the word Resur and spells it out.
Okay, when you say it, the dagger gives off a faint ice blue light, giving dim light only, not bright, for 10 feet around you. And as you move it, you notice that the dagger itself, not you, but the dagger itself makes no noise as you move it, as it cuts through the air and touch it. The dagger itself seems to be making no noise at all.
At that point, Shaban would look quizzically at the dagger and say, Resur again.
The soft blue light fades away.
Okay. She nods her head as it, okay, she figured that part out. So she takes it and she sheathes it in one of her mini dagger sheaths. And then we'll reach down to take the rest of the stuff out of the circle of stone.
Okay. I'm going to put it all into the party sheet. Money included. There you guys go.
So what are the 2 and the 6? What are those things? It just says unidentified item.
I really wish they wouldn't do that. Sorry. Thanks.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not a magic item, it doesn't. You don't need to identify an A-gate. But what are you gonna do?
Right. Yeah.
Does it have the ring as well?
What do you mean?
You said there's a ring in there as well. You said there's a bunch of gems, coins, and a ring. Or you might have been talking about. Okay, I misunderstood.
The ring of stone.
I misheard you. Gotcha. I thought it sounded like you said a ring, and then yeah, okay. So now that we got that shit, Shaban will point to the door leading back to the hallway that had already been we look through, and she will walk over to it and inspect it.
Dimble will call out to Shaban real quick and says, hey, and he pensively kind of points at the dagger. He says, do you think that's a sacrificial dagger? You know, that with the floating stone gives me an uneasy feeling.
Well, it might be. We will we'll have it looked at once we get it back up to the surface and see what it might be.
Oh, okay.
Everybody's against desecration until there's magic items involved.
Of course.
Do we have light down here, by the way?
This area is lit, yes. There are assorted torches here or there.
She'll do a...
Dimble will come up and try to aid Shaban. Can she have advantage?
Yep.
Let me roll it again, see what I get. So Shaban kind of shrugs and says, "Be ready," and grabs the pull ring and pulls it open. And steps.
So, this big square room, like before, like the one you're standing in, has been hewn from the rock. You can still see the chiseled marks on the wall. In the center of the west wall, which is the one furthest away from you, is a stone door that has a narrow slit that you guys saw before with green wing. Beside the door is a set of iron bars bolted to the wall. And about 3 feet above the floor, there are 10 oiled chains that are secured to the bars leading up to a hole. They all go through holes. Another solid stone door is the one you're coming through. The 8-foot tall rectangular stone stands upright in the room's center. This right here is standing upright. Across the room, just barely, you can see him, is a half orc. He's wearing just leather armor. He has a mace and a crossbow at his belt, but he's not looking at you. He's looking through the peephole, and he's standing with his hand kind of near the levers, looking down the peepholes. Now, at the the stone itself that is standing closer to you has an inscription on it that is hard to read from this distance, but at the foot of the standing stone there is a small human, you would assume to be a boy, who is pinned face down by rocks placed on top of his arms, legs, and back. He is barefoot and wears ragged clothing.
Shaban, wait, is he looking towards us, or is he just completely miserable, not even paying attention?
He's face down, his head's not towards you.
Okay. Hold on a second. Shaban will turn and look to the rest of the group, hold her finger up to her lips, as if to question, and then she also pantomimes a motion of shooting, letting them know there's an enemy there.
Loki nods his head.
And she looks back up. She still has a good line of sight on Dimble. and she looks up at Dimble and kind of holds up her smaller three fingers, middle, ring, and pinky finger, and starts counting down. When she gets to 1, she reaches down, pulls the arrow back to her ear, and fires at Grundle.
Okay. Well, let me just move him on up to hostile there. And let's get some initiative.
Okay, just so you guys are tracking, in case you guys haven't figured it out with Siobhan, pretty much anytime a kid's in danger, there's no talking. She also doesn't talk sometimes when she just doesn't give a fuck, but especially if there's kids involved. That's why she went down the hole so quickly when the sinkhole opened up.
Good to know.
Yep.
So Siobhan, I said, takes aim.
Okay, go ahead and get all the initiatives there. All right, nicely done. And we'll call this a surprise round for those who were ahead. We'll make that Siobhan
Okay.
and Dimble.
Damn it.
What's that?
It's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I counted down, so it should have given everybody a warning that I was going to
That's
be
fine.
attacked.
Right.
You're gonna go first in the surprise round. Then we're going to go back to the top and just skip you in the surprise round.
Can I go first? With higher
Yeah.
initiative?
Yeah.
If you want to.
Yes.
This is. It's up to you guys how you initiate combat. Absolutely, you can.
Alright, Dimble will run up here and flourish his wand and say, Foop Doddle! And he will cast a suggestion on Grund to go to your knees. We're here to save the child. We mean you no harm.
Okay,
Doesn't he get a save?
he does.
Uh,
So you'll have to target him and then click the cast dice, and it'll auto roll it.
Got it. Yep.
A natural 1 will not do it.
Oh, okay. Alright.
So he drops to his knees, and the only thing, he seems scared, but he says in a rough, gravelly voice, You can't be here. You have to go. And he points on his knees towards the door he's standing near, and indicating that you have to leave via that way.
Dimble will move up and wave his hands for everybody to follow him.
Okay. So are you guys going to continue to attack? Is that my understanding? I just want to make it clear here.
Dimble will make big mouthing noises with his hands.
you can still talk, you know that, right? It's free action. Bye-bye, Birdie.
I suggest we try to talk with this guy first.
Siobhan, a little perturbed, slings her bow and pulls out her daggers. And as she walks forward, she tells Dimble, I hope this works, or I will end this.
Dimble pushes his hands down and down like to relax. And then he addresses Grund. He says, why is there such danger? We only want to help the child.
And Grund says, you can't be here. You have to leave through this door. No one's allowed here except the believers.
Who are the believers?
He kind of shrugs, and his lack of intelligence gives you an indication that he has the mindset of a child almost.
Okay.
He's big, he's strong, but he seems like he's just pretty simple.
We won't hurt you. He's trying to persuade him, but we won't hurt you. We're here to be your friend. And does a persuasion check, trying to, does the shoulders and the eyes thing at him. Trying to get him on our side, Tony.
He seems a little torn at first. Give me a D10, please. He seems a little torn at first on whether or not you're friendly, especially because he's under the influence of magic. But he says that he was told to keep all people out, and you're not allowed to be here. If you leave now, he won't tell anyone that you came.
I'm not going to try again. And she says, if you promise to not hurt us, we will not hurt you, and I will have our friend release the magic that is holding you, if you will talk.
And while Shaban is talking with Grund, I'll wave Augie to come forward and help the child get free.
Okay. While Augie, sorry about that, Grund agrees to not attack you if you release the magic.
Shaban adjusts her hands on the daggers that are sheathed in. She sheathed her daggers, and she'll adjust her hands, resting on the daggers, and nods towards Dimble, catches his eye, and nods to let him up, or take the magic off.
And Dimble does so. He lets the spell drop.
And Shaban will take a ready to action that any form of hostile action or intent will be met with her blades.
Okay. The child for Augie and Mal, I haven't marked him, that's kind of my fault. I'm going to put him where he's at. He's right here, Augie, kind of laid straight out. So you can move back if you'd like. But he's basically face down on his stomach, his face towards the stone. And he has 5 rocks, one on his wrists, one on his legs, each leg, and one on his lower back. They look like they've been placed in a manner so as not to break his bones, but to prevent him from getting up. When you guys enter and start talking, he kind of turns his head towards you and starts begging for food, saying, very thirsty, please help me. He looks like he's about 10 years old.
Shaban slowly walks up towards Grund, just kind of at an angle. And says, and asks Grund, why did you do this to this child? Towards the child.
Augie takes the rocks off the child.
Okay. Grund says he's not Grund's child, not his responsibility. He was told to leave him alone, and so he does. And the half-orc, kind of falls on his butt when the magic comes up instead of on his knees, and he starts shaking his head, and he's just kind of saying over and over, not supposed to be here, and he looks like he's pretty distraught that he failed.
Hold on.
Okay, as for the child, Ogie and Mal, you guys take the rocks off, and he starts asking pretty much for water and food. It looks like he isn't fed very well.
With that medicine roll, I would like to be giving him water, maybe seeing if he's injured, offering him some of my rations.
He's not injured, but he's cold, thirsty, hungry. He looks scared. Give me a let me take a look at your skills. Let's call it a persuasion check with advantage, either you or Augie. Looking at both of your, it looks like Augie would have the better numbers there. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It looks like it would be Mal. I looked at Dimble. Mal, looks like you got a higher persuasion. So Ogie, and Mal, you guys are trying to comfort the child, giving him food and water.
Also a blanket.
And a blanket, apparently. He scarfs down the food and water, and he kind of huddles under the blanket. And he looks suspicious of your friendliness initially. But he, after, the food and water, he seems to be warming up. I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth between because they're both simultaneous. So if I'm not cutting it out, I'm just jumping back and forth. He does introduce himself as Braylon. I'm going to give you type out the name, and then we'll hop back over to Shaban and Dimble.
No problem.
Okay, so the half-orc is pretty much extremely distraught, rocking back and forth. He just seems like he was given one job and he didn't do a good job. He's really upset about it.
So Shaban, with a persuasion check, asks Grun, who told you to make sure nobody gets in here, and who told you that to leave the child alone?
Okay, was that a lucky there?
Yes, it was a lucky.
He tells you that the boss, and any push for further name meets with confusion. Seems like the only thing he knows him by is boss.
Is the boss down here?
He shrugs. He says, boss comes and goes. Many bosses.
Does the boss look like me, and kind of points over to the rest of the party that can be seen, or like them? Trying to do the race.
He says, boss human.
Okay.
Dimble will walk up and pat his back and try to comfort him and change the subject and say, what is that about? And he'll point to the stone and these rocks that are in front of it, as well as the statue in the next room. Do these have any significance?
He seems to jump on the change of subject and kind of shakes his head a little bit, and then gives you a bewildered shrug and says, Grund guards the hallway.
Shaban will move over to the wall and the chains that are coming down and ask Grun, do these make something happen in the hallway?
So he seems pretty excited to be discussing something he actually knows about. So he jumps up and moves towards them and says, you pull the lever and cage drops in the hallway. Grund trap intruders. Grund has to stand here and pull lever when people who are not supposed to be here come down the hallway. That's Grund's job.
Do you get paid for this job?
He says Grund gets food.
How would you like it if we gave you more food and toys for you to play with? And she pulls out like a dagger when she says toys and kind of spins it so he can see it, but not in a threatening manner.
He kind of looks at you suspiciously and says, Grund has to stay here. Boss said so.
Dimble puts his hand around his arm around Grund and says, I think I would like you to be my friend. Maybe you could come help us instead. We could really use your help.
So he says, what about bosses?
And Shaban would take a step forward and put a hand on his arm. Tully looks at him and says, we would be your new bosses, but we call it being a friend. Trying to talk down to him with the persuasion.
Dimble nods his head as if he's supporting, and I want to aid an ally if I can.
Okay, go ahead and roll that persuasion again, and we'll treat the highest as advantage on that last check as Dimble aids. Okay?
Not much better, but...
You take what you can get.
Yeah.
He seems to be torn, but he agrees to help you if you protect him and or feed him and give him the dagger.
So Shaban reaches down, or actually, the dagger she has out, which is a normal dagger, she flips it around to where the hilt's pointing towards him and hands over the hilt, while her other hand is still on the hilt of another dagger.
You notice how he doesn't trust me? He has to specify he's giving over the normal one.
Oh yeah, I'm not... I've been playing with you a little too long, man.
He knows you're shady.
Right? Thank you, Tasha. Not even your own girlfriend trusts you in D&D.
That's great.
This is true, but I would like to stop just for 1 second. And Mal, you've played in person. I know you have, Chad. How many of you have in the past gotten caught by the DM rolling a dice while you're rolling a dice?
Not very often for me.
I got Tasha with that when she first started. She was the rogue rolling perception checks, and she rolled and I rolled. And then she'd roll and I'd roll. I think I got her like 8 times before, and I kept looking at her. Every time I rolled, I'd say, you find nothing. And finally, about the 6th, 7th time, she realized, because she was so looking at her dice, that she was watching me roll and not look at my number. And then she just squinted her eyes and goes, I hate you.
He does shit like that all the time.
It was my first time.
That's what you tell all the boys, isn't it, Tasha?
Well done.
Well played. All right, so he takes the dagger, and we're going to hop back over. You guys are having the just occurred conversation with Grund while Ogie and Matthias are talking to the child. The child takes the food, and after he scarfs it down, he seems, as I said, suspicious initially of your friendly manner, but he realizes shortly thereafter that you're legitimately friendly, and he says, thank you. I've been here for 2 days.
Do you know why you're here?
He says that he was disobedient. He came out of his room when he was told to stay in his room, and he failed to deliver a message from his father to another person, and for those 2 things, he was placed here as punishment.
Are you from the village or from down here?
He says he's from the village. He tells you his dad's name is Rathar. I'm going to type it out.
Does that name ring a bell with us?
It doesn't right off the bat. He tells you his father put him here as punishment because he was disobedient. And from the conversation that you're having, he doesn't seem to find this punishment unusual. It seems like it's, the equivalent of standing in the corner for most kids who, they don't like it. And, it just strikes him as what happens. It's what happens when you break the rules.
Shaban looks around as she comes around the corner, leaving.
Nope. You're back over here having your conversation.
Okay.
Oh, you're good. We're running 2 events simultaneously.
Gotcha.
So Matthias and Ogie, he's chewing on his food, and that's what he tells you. That's the reason he's there.
Well, should we start walking towards Siobhan? Is that the way we're leaving?
You can head that way if you'd like. He seems to be the young boy seems to be happy to answer any questions now that you've fed him, but he's doing his best to inhale at the maximum amount of food that he can. You don't have to ask anything. I just was letting you know that he's happy to answer any if you have any. Anybody who does.
So people from the village come down here often.
I missed that, Mal.
So people from the village, I would ask him, would come down here often.
He tells you that the believers come down here. And they... What's that?
Believers of what?
He tells you the believers are a secret group made up of some of the elders of the town. And they guard the far room. He points through the door behind you, through the dwarf statue, and says the door over there, and make sure no one disturbs the delvers. It's the word he uses. And he says that they interpret the moving stones, and they protect this area.
Dimble will look over at him and say, "Oh, I'm sorry. Is this still a separate conversation?"
It's getting to the point where you guys are just finishing up with Grund, so if you guys want to head over, you're more than welcome to.
I'll stay with Grund. Shaban can go over.
Grund's gonna follow us, so have Grund come with us.
Actually, let's keep Grund separate. Dimble will use prestidigitation to create 2 glasses of ale and sit down and offer one to Grund.
He definitely scoops up the ale and drinks pretty quickly.
Okay, I'm going to keep him distracted while you guys continue.
Okay. Shaban hears the murmuring from Augie and Matthias and the small boy, and comes around the edge of the pillar and says, "Well, hello, you're looking much better than you were a minute or so ago. What's your name?"
The young man tells you his name and seems a little shy from you, but he looks more towards Matthias and Ogie to see if you're trustworthy.
Matthias would nod reassuringly.
Okay, the young man seems to take that. He's still suspicious, but he introduces himself as Braylon.
Okay. Shaban says, what were you doing down here? Out of character, hold on real quick. Out of character, I know you guys covered it, but Shaban doesn't know what you guys are talking about.
He goes ahead and fills you in on everything you've heard from the conversation they were having.
Shaban would ask him, goes, what does your father do in town?
I'm going to have to get back to you on that one, because for some reason, I cannot find his specific location. But he tells you that his father is one of the town elders.
Shaban nods and smiles, really big at the boy, a very happy smile, because he's, participating and being friendly. Says, if I could ask you, what was this message you were supposed to deliver?
He kind of shakes his head and says that he didn't read it. It was a piece of paper that he was told to deliver to the wagon works and Ilmeth at the wagon works.
Thank you.
Ogie asks the boy if he still has the piece of paper.
He kind of looks down and says no, he lost it, and then that's why he never delivered it, but he never told his dad.
Does your dad bring you down here often to punish you this way?
He says only when he breaks the rules.
And Shaban kind of gestures over to Grund and asks the boy, has Grund ever harmed you?
He says he doesn't talk to Grund. His dad tells him he's not allowed to.
Okay. So definitely relief shows in Shaban's face. It says, what are these delvers through the other door?
He kind of shrugs and he says the only thing he knows is that the believers interpret the moving stones, and it's a bad sign when they move, and they have to figure out what it means and how to avoid the danger. They don't let anybody in there. He just says that's what the believers do.
Okay. Shaban says, well, I'll let you get back to eating. And we should be leaving here shortly. And she'll walk over to Dimble and lean over to Dimble and fill him in on everything that Braylon had said. And ask him, have you heard anything about floating rocks besides the one we've already seen? Or delvers or whatever.
Tony, you want me to make a check?
No, there's nothing you've heard about them.
Nope. I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
Right now, it's just me and my friend having some ales.
Okay,
And by the way, so I'm going to motion to Shaban if whether or not I should lead Grund back to the big hole that will take him back up to the middle of Red Larch. Is it Red Larch?
Yes.
Shaban will kind of shake her head for just a real quick back and forth and lean over to Dimble and whisper, I would like to see what's in the other chamber before we disrupt the town, focused mainly on the elders and this Rothar. And as she says Rothar's name, she puts a lot of venom into it.
Okay. Dimble will say, well, I think I should stay here with my new friend.
Shaban nods once and said, would you mind keeping an eye on the hallway? And if any visitors, and she kind of looks towards Grund, if anybody comes down the hallway, even if it's your old bosses, would you do what you're supposed to do by pulling the levers?
Grund
She's-
nods, but he says the bosses take other way around, come in back way.
Shaban smiles real big at Grund and says, well, if anybody does come down that way, would you trap them for us?
He kind of shakes his head, and he seems like he's much more comfortable with that job. Something that he's familiar with.
Dimble will spin around and face towards the west and kind of elbow Grund to do the same way and continue to make more ale.
Sounds good.
Shaban will go back over to the group and says to Braylon, would you mind waiting here with our friend Dimble? And she kind of leans over and points towards Dimble. And our new friend Grund, would you wait in this room with them?
He nods. He doesn't seem like he has a strong desire to leave the room anyways.
Okay. So if you were to leave when we leave, and if we were to take you with us, what would happen to you?
He shakes his head. He's not sure.
Okay. Would you be
Dimble-
willing to tell the town sheriff what your dad does to punish you?
He kind of shies away from that.
Has your father threatened that if you told anybody that you would be in trouble? Let me do another persuasion, see if it... not that good.
He starts to clam up when you start pushing him about changing sides from his dad.
He's scared. He's scared.
Pretty much. He's pretty much done having this conversation.
Okay.
Dimble will wave the boy over and say, look, we can even do tricks. And he'll cast Prestidigitation, and he'll have Greenwing come over, who will cough out flower petals out of his mouth.
Okay. So Braylon kind of moves over by Dimble, away from the fancy lady who keeps trying to get him to say he hates his dad.
I didn't say that.
The flower coughing bird seems to be more his style.
And Schwan looks at the rest of the group, and says, I think we should explore that other room to see what these floating stones are.
Matthias.
Okay, grunts and starts walking.
Okay. For the record, at this point, I'm going to... We're going to keep playing. We're not stopping the game. But at this point, for the way you guys have handled this entire dungeon, but more specifically, how you turned a combat potential enemy, into an ally, and was able to help the child so effectively before Matt shut him down. I'm going to give everyone an inspiration, and I'm going to just take a second and go over where those are and how you use them. So where they're at, on your character sheet at the very top right, next to your picture, it'll be on every tab, so it doesn't matter what tab, it'll say INSP. And what you want to do is click one of those three circles. So that means you have inspiration. And I actually use a modified version, which I half stole from Chad, and half use modified slightly my own way as well. Now the goal of this, and it's a little difficult for some players if you've ever had inspiration. I think, Natasha, you may have got one in our in-person game. I'm not sure if you've ever seen them at Mal. I know Matt's seen them. But inspiration in standard D&D is a much bigger thing, so people get it and they don't want to use it. The goal of the modification, one, because I liked the modified version, and my goal here is to give it more frequently and have you use it more frequently. I don't care if you stockpile them. I'm just saying the goal behind me modifying this. So here's how this is going to work. Now, you can give them to another person. Everybody has one. If, for example, Ogie wants to give his inspiration to Shaban, you can. It has to be done out of combat. You can, if she's going to be trying to disable a trap and it's really a big deal and she doesn't have one, you can share them. What you can't do is share them in combat. So here's how it works, though. They don't expire, but they're based off of your strength. You guys are level 3, which is a proficiency bonus of +2. That's found on the main part of your sheet. You don't have to really worry about that right now, which gives your inspiration a d6. So how that works is when you want to use it, for example, Shaban would want to do a persuasion check. She would roll a d20, add her 8, and then she would also roll a d6. So I'm going to create effects for it, so when you want to do it, I'll just throw it onto yours. It won't be any issue that you have to do, but so you understand it right now, she would roll a d20 plus 8 plus a d6. So that basically gives her an additional dice to add. So in this case, it would be 17. Looks like she has a +8. So that'd be a 25, and then I rolled a d6 and got a 6. So it'd be, instead of a 25, it'd be a 31.
I'm now the mayor of this town.
So you can also use it in combat. You can use it if you're really worried you need to shoot someone, you need to make sure it hits. You can roll the d6 with your attack. So you'd roll a d20, you'd get your bonus, then you'd add on what the d6 would give you. So that's where it comes in. Not anything you need to super stress about. If you ever want to add it on to an attack, you don't get to add it to damage. If you ever want to add it on to a skill check, like you need to try and rip a door open and use a strength check or a heal, you're hurting real bad, you roll a heal, you can throw a d6 on it. If you use it on your prayer of healing that heals 3 people instead of a cure wounds, that's more effective use thereof. So that's the idea behind the inspiration. It's not something you have to memorize at this point, but everyone's getting one for the role-playing that you guys have had in this room as a reward, and that's the idea of the reward, is to reward you guys for doing things well and role-playing your characters. So if no one has any questions about that, I'm going to go ahead and just keep the game rolling. And as we go through, I will have an effect along the lines of the Bless spell, and we will just keep that going.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, so
I'm going to inspect that big stone before we go through the dwarf room.
Okay.
You said there looked like there was writing on it or something.
There it does. So you are going to try and read the stone, I'm guessing?
Yes.
The inscription as you get closer is in common. Now I want you to be aware of one thing as you're reading it. This carving is much fresher, much newer than the chisel marks on the walls, which appear to be old, centuries old. This is months old. And they're also apparently done with less skill. But the inscription reads, "Displease not the Delvers."
Okay. Shaban would kind of mumble it to herself several times and says, "According to the stone, we should not displease the Delvers." Fairly ominous. And with that, Shaban kind of just shrugs and heads over to the other door.
Okay. So the door, much like the rest of the...
What's that?
This door, much like the previous doors in this room, is a pretty solid door. It has an iron pull ring, just like the rest of them. But it doesn't... like them, doesn't appear to show any capability of being locked. and there are no traps that you can detect. Remember that saying there, Tasha?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and oh crap. And since Augie's in front of the door, Shaban will gesture as if to tell him to open it.
Ogie opens the door.
Okay, so you pull the door open. You have a small passage that's about 10 feet wide, 10 feet high, and much like the rest of them, it's been hewn out of the rock. There's a lantern that hangs from a hook in the wall next to the door at the far end of the passage. Sitting on a wooden stool by the lantern is a balding, beardless old man. He has some trousers and tunic, but they're patched and faded. And he's just sitting right there in the middle of the passageway on a stool, completely and utterly oblivious until the door opens, and he is whittling a stick. The O is for old man. Now, you do notice that of the stick that he is whittling seems to be, he's doing a pretty good job as far as whittling goes.
You want to lead the way, Augie, or do you want me to?
Ogie says he'll go ahead and go in first.
Okay. And Shaban will be right on his 6.
Ogie greets the old man.
Okay. The old guy kind of looks up. He has a knife. It's not even long enough to be considered a dagger as far as weapons. It wouldn't. I mean, it's nearly just a small knife. As you guys walk up, the door opens. Ogie starts strolling up. Before Ogie gets up to him, the man throws his knife on the ground and prostrates himself, jumps to his knees, and starts groveling, saying, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. I just let me go, please. Don't kill me. I'm sorry."
Ogie tells the old man, "Stand up. We're not here to hurt you."
He says, "You can't disturb the stones. You will provoke the wrath of the Delvers."
What are the Delvers?
He seems just beside himself with fear. I mean, you have put the fear of Oglavone in him.
Ogie picks up the old man's knife and hands it back to him and says, again, "Who are the Delvers?"
Okay, give me a persuasion check from your skills, please.
Great.
He seems pretty scared of you. He's terrified of you, but he does answer you. He says that from time to time, the great stones change position when nobody is with them, when no one's watching. That is how the Delvers talk to us. They show us signs of coming dangers and warn us when we have made bad choices, so we may change our choices to be more appropriate choices.
Ogie looks over at Lady Siobhan. Maybe a kinder face would persuade him more.
You purty.
You got a pretty mouth.
You got a pretty mouth, Lady Siobhan.
Shaban will step up beside Oglavone and say to the old man, "The Delvers talk to you through the stones, but who are the Delvers?" And there you go.
He kind of shrugs and says, "They don't know who moves the stones. They don't know who the Delvers are. They know they do, and that their warnings are accurate, and their wrath is their wrath is vicious.
We have already talked to your friend in the other hallway, who, and he kind of gestures in the direction of Braylon and Grund. Are all the town elders a part of this group of believers?
He tells you the more powerful are. And he starts rattling off a list of names.
Siobhan concentrates, trying to commit all the names to memory.
I'm just going to type them so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay.
I'm going to type them out, and you guys can take them down if you desire.
How long has this place existed?
One second, I want to get this last name typed, and I will jump back to you. So, those are the names he gives you. He tells you that his name is Baragustus, and that's the only people he knows are members of the believers. And in response to Oglavon's question, he tells you that they've known the Delvers started moving the stones months ago, but these caverns have existed for hundreds of years.
Siobhan would smile winningly at his name's Bargustus.
Mm-hmm.
At Bargustus, may we see these movable stones? We will not touch them, but may we see them?
He shakes his head and says, the stones can't be moved.
We, as I said...
No
Sorry,
outsiders are allowed inside of the room.
Well, what if we stand here on the threshold and look into the room?
He shakes his head. He doesn't want to tell you no, but he doesn't want to let you in.
Oglavon leans forward and says, "Open the door."
Okay.
Thanks, Siobhan.
Throw me an intimidation check, Oglavon, because that's not persuading, that's ordering. So that's an intimidation.
Well, that was my persuasion check.
He seems pretty intimidated already, though.
Yep, and that's why what that determines, for those of you who are curious of the inner workings, that determines what check you need to intimidate him. If he's already intimidated, a 10's going to do it. If he doesn't care about you, you're going to need a 15 or a 20. But as you stated, he's pretty intimidated as it is. So he turns and opens the door and then asks if he can leave.
Siobhan shakes her head, almost like sadly, and says, "Well, we wouldn't want you to abandon your post."
Maybe you should show us the way.
He says he's not allowed he doesn't go into the tomb.
So is the door open? Can we see in there yet, or?
Yes, I'm trying to find, I'm a little irate at this point. There's a picture of the Tomb of Moving Stones that I had, which is what this room is called. It's just what they call it. But I wanted to share the picture, but it didn't bring it up. So I'm going to bring it up as soon as I can, but I'm going to uncover the room. I'm going to give you a description, so give me a couple seconds. And I'm going to give you a description of the whole room as it would be appropriate. But give me a second to try and find this picture. I don't understand why the picture is not available, but let's see if we can find it under a different one.
Ask him about
What's that?
the triangle on skulls and guards' armor.
Aha. So, if you ever run this campaign, Chad, they
Yep.
added the image. They didn't link it into the appropriate area. But I got it.
Whoa.
So as you can see, some of the monoliths, the worked stone, are floating. So visually, when you walk, or the door is open, this enormous chamber's ceiling climbs 20 feet from the 10-foot passage, and it is carved from rock. You can still see the chisel marks. There's no. This room has more worked stone, as you can see, but the ceiling itself is not worked. A lighted lantern rests on the floor near the center of the room. An odd array of stone monoliths, some upright, standing stones, others arranged in 3 stone arches that you see in that image right there. Are around the chamber. There are 6 low stone slabs set against the wall around the perimeter. Each one holds a collection of humanoid bones dressed in scraps of tattered cloth and rusted iron armor. The light is from a bullseye lantern, and it's set to only show light out to about here. For those of you who don't know, a bullseye lantern is a more expensive version of a lantern that allows you to, instead of holding a lantern that throws light super long way and gives your point away, you can zoom it in or close it up so it just shows a little bit of light so people can't see you from as far away. That circle there is the lantern. You can very clearly see that it is a bullseye lantern. And I'm going to do one thing real quick. Let's see. I'm going to do something just real quick. If you don't mind, Shaban, will you please roll a check of any kind? And Oglavone, would you please roll a attack of any kind? And Mal, will you please roll a save of any kind?
I don't like the way that sounds.
I'm testing the effect for inspiration. Okay, so as you guys see that purple dice, like when you roll your attack there, you get the extra 6. So if you say you want to use your inspiration, just let me know, and I will apply it. But no, there's nothing scary yet. I have the scary stuff hidden.
Gotcha.
I just would like it to be... I don't want it to be an inconvenience to you guys to want to use your inspiration. If you want to use it, I want you to say, I want to use it, and I just drop that on you, you roll it, it's done. So there we go, it's all set up for you.
Cool, thanks.
Alright, so this room is dark. Oglavone, I don't believe has dark vision. So if you're going to be venturing into this room, you guys are going to have to start using a light source.
Can I just take that lantern that's hanging up?
You can, absolutely. This is what that's going to entail, though. If you're going to be carrying the lantern, which I am not sure I would necessarily advise in the future, but if you're going to be carrying a lantern, you're going to have a circle around you. We're not going to apply it right now, but what it would look like would be You would create your own circle, which there's mine, and I'll show you how to do it. And you would be responsible for keeping the circle on your character. And we'll go over how to do that at a later time. We've added enough in this game, and we're towards the end of the night, so we're not going to add it. But so you know what it would look like is you would have, for example, this lantern, which gives you a 20-foot circle of light, and that's what you would carry around. Now,
Well, we can just put it in our thing, and someone can grab it up later.
sounds great. So you're going to snatch the lantern from the old man, who you guys are, being mean to. And
Peanut gallery.
what is your intention now?
We need to go in this room.
Okay. Foggy wants to go in the room.
Is that what this is now? Whatever Augie wants, Augie gets?
He cleaves somebody in half with a hammer.
Yeah, we don't really have much of a choice.
No, are the stones, can we see from here, can I see from here, are the stones all hovering above the floor, or are they right on the floor?
Some are hovering, some are not. It depends on the stone. It varies per stone.
Shaban looks back at Ragnar and says, will you go get Dimble real quick? Ragnar kind of just nods and goes over. And I'm not going to roleplay his character, but basically lets him know that about the room that's up there and the floating stones. Some of them are floating, some of them aren't.
Dimble comes up and his mouth just drops in amazement. And he sticks out his hand as it just starts walking forward without even thinking, like, wow. What do you need, Shaban?
This seems, there seems to be quite a bit of magic in this place, and we were wondering if you had any knowledge or seen anything like this in your travels.
He rubs his chin. To see if I know anything about this, Tony, what kind of check would you like?
And knowledge arcana, please. One second. I think you changed your name. Give me one second. I just need to adjust something real quick.
Damn.
No, I need to make sure I got the whisper set up. What was the dam for? The harp there?
Matt.
What was that?
Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you had said.
spectacle before him, and he says, I know what this looks like. This reminds me a lot of what they do in big cities. They have wizards get together, and they cast these levitation fields, and they use it in construction. That way it's not hard to lift big, heavy things. They move it around, and it helps a lot. But how the spells are cast can make a big difference in how it all works.
So the old man kind of looks like he bristles a little and says, no, this is the magic of the Delvers. The bodies inside are using this rare magic to tell us when we make bad decisions and protect us.
How do they tell you if you've made bad decisions?
He says that sometimes when we make bad decisions, the stones will move, and we can interpret when we've made a bad decision. We have to interpret what decision we made, and if we make the bad decision, they will move more. If we make a good decision, they will stop moving.
Shaban kind of looks at Dimble with a raised eyebrow.
Dimble looks back at Shaban like he is unconvinced. That sounds like a whole bunch of hooey-pooey to me.
Sounds like something in here is moving these stones, maybe trying to set them in a certain arrangement. Maybe it's complete luck of the, how they interpret when these are being moved.
Dimble shrugs his shoulders. Maybe. Regardless, I think someone has this guy fooled.
He doesn't seem to like you very much, but he doesn't seem to be willing to say much against you, given the massive barbarian.
Shaban gestures to the room and asks Dimble, Matthias, you guys, would you like to go in and investigate with me? Augie, keep an eye on this fine gentleman. She says it with sarcasm.
Ogie smiles and grunts.
Shall we?
Dimble will march straight forward with a big smile on his face into the room about right here.
Shaban goes a little bit slower, but she's following Dimble.
Matthias kind of trails after a little bit, or hesitant.
Okay, you guys move to where you want to move. I'll be right back.
My daughter's taking my Mastiff's jowls and flapping them up in the air like bat wings, and then talking to her.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, we're getting a new, she's doesn't turn 8 weeks until June, like June 11th or 10th or something like that. We're getting another Mastiff.
How big is a Mastiff?
Ours is about right around 115. She's just at 2 years old. She's a little bit small.
That is a big dog.
Our last Mastiff she had some sort of immune deficiency or something. I don't know. We had to put her down at 2, and she was 180, and they said she could stand to lose about 5 pounds, but besides that, she was in good shape.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's English Mastiffs. They're the biggest Mastiffs, size-wise, height and girth. Like some of the other ones, like the Cane Corsos or the Italian Mastiffs and the Neapolitan Mastiffs and stuff, they may be bigger size-wise, but they're a lot shorter. And the Tibet Mastiffs are the ones that you see all the crazy pictures of that are just giant fur.
Wow.
But
We keep it simple. We have 2 boxers.
There you go. I've literally seen my foster son and our goddaughter, we had her for a while, not with this one, but our goddaughter with our last Mastiff could literally bounce on our Mastiff, and our Mastiff would just lay there like, are you done yet? Like, wait till she got done before she stood up and walked away. I mean, you just can't beat their temperament, especially around kids. And they're lazy as shit, so I don't have to take them for long walks.
Sorry about that.
You know, if you gotta pee that often, man, you might want to go in and get your prostate checked.
No, I had to make sure of something. You'll be okay. You don't worry about my prostate. You seem to be very concerned about my prostate, Matt.
I'm worried about your health, man. I don't want you to die on me, because then who's going to be my DM?
No one else will take him.
Right?
Hey, Chad's a DM. If he wants to sign up for whatever it is that you're supposed to be.
Hey, Chad, how's it going?
Dude, really? Come on, Matt. Come on,
Right?
Tony.
That wasn't fair.
Why would you want that horrible thing with Chad? I mean, come on, it's bad enough with you.
That's true.
I'd be happy. It'd be fun to DM you guys. Be a blast.
Hell yeah.
All right, so you guys move in, and let's see, what is your visibility? Let me get this one here. So
That's Shaban, 60 feet dark vision.
Alrighty. So, from deeper into the tomb, you hear chanting. And I'm going to target those of you in this square. Get it right there. There we go. So you 3. We're missing... By the way, you left Ragnar way back there, right? Just so I'm sure.
Yeah, Ragnar's hanging with the boy and the half-orc.
Yep. And Greenwing.
Alrighty, so for the 3 of you, and this is a effect here, you hear the words from ahead, and unworthy ones have trespassed and brought upon you the wrath of the Delvers. Now, I hit a bad button. I did not mean to apply that to you, but I'm going to need a wisdom saving throw, and then I will remove the effect from those who pass.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm taking my last lucky for the day.
Okay. So for Shaban and Dimble and Matthias, you feel waves of magic radiate through you, towards you, all of the above. It seems to alter the flow of time. Your swings, your movement starts slowing down, and Dimble and Shaban, you are able to resist and, through a force of will, shake off the effects of this magic. But Matthias seems to be gripped by the delay in time. The effect's already placed on you. In essence there, Matthias, you are slowed. You are going to be... Your speed is halved. And you're going to take -2 on armor class, dexterity saving throws, and you can't use reactions. Now, on your turn, you can either use an action or a bonus action, but not both. So you can still move. Your speed will be halved. Now, At the end of each of your turns, you're going to get another saving throw. When you succeed, the effect is gone. But for now, I need everyone who's up here to roll initiative. I'm going to go ahead and drop Greenwing and Ragnar to the bottom.
Got above a 10 on initiative.
Yay.
So you heard from deeper in the chamber that you have angered the Delvers, and slowing magic was what seemed to course through you, even though some of you were able to shake it off.
Shaban comes forward. Is it an action, Tony, to open up that hooded lantern?
I'm reasonably positive that it is.
Okay, Shaban will move up here.
A hooded lantern can cast up to 30 feet bright, 30 foot dim, and it is an action to lower the hood, reducing the visibility. Or raise the hood, increasing the visibility.
Okay. She's going to go here and look further into the cave. She's got 60-foot dark vision before she flips open the... Oh, you did that. Sorry.
So that's your vision, and you throw it up. We'll call it 60 feet total. That's dim and bright. And there is a difference. There's the bright, there's the dim. The bright's in the middle, but you do not see anything.
Okay, well, that's her turn, so...
Okay.
Can you approve that move, I guess?
I don't see a move request.
Oh, you don't? Huh. Okay. I'm gonna call Greenwing to my side. I guess he's gonna have to move, isn't he? A move. I'm gonna move there.
Okay.
And ready in action to cast a spell. It's gonna be Dimble's Radiant Sphere.
Got it. So you called Greenwing to you. I'm going to go ahead and just give him a just standard dex roll for his initiative and throw him on the board.
Yeah, I can roll the initiative. Oh, okay. That's fine too. Whoops, I advanced it.
No, that's what I like. Please. As soon as your turn's over, please feel free to just click it. I'm just moving a couple things around. They did not put as much as they should have here, but I'm just moving a couple things around, assuming that's okay with you guys. So,
you know what? Real quick, can I throw my drift globe to the north and have it hover and turn on?
Okay. Are you wanting the standard light spell, 20 feet, 40 feet?
Yep.
Okay. Target where you want to throw it. Now that's going to replace your readied action, but give me a target where you want to throw it if that's what you still want to do.
I don't want to do that. I'll ready my action instead.
Okay. So, from up ahead, you see a strange-looking person step out. I'm going to send you an image momentarily. Zoom this in real quick. I'm going to throw on some fun music because we got about 30 minutes of the game left, and I am enjoying... Let's see. This looks like some good... I'm not sure if that's appropriate, but that's what we're going with. This is who you see step out from ahead. You notice as you are moving around, his robe, this is primarily for Shaban, but everyone's eventually going to see him. His robe is made of thin pieces of rock. His armor is made from rocks. The symbol you've seen carved into the people's heads and into the armor of the people who attacked you, the bringers of woe as they identified themselves, also had those figures. He steps out and casts the spell directly towards Shaban. It's a 20-foot cube, and I think it's probably only going to affect you, but for the posterity of it, we're going to stick it over you. It would only affect you, Shaban. So he does target you, and what it creates is you feel the ground start to rumble, and the man yells, "Great power is found within the earth. The Delvers shall punish the intruders." And I need you to make a dexterity saving throw. Okay, I don't believe... Do you have evasion yet?
I don't believe so. Let me check. I don't think so, no.
Okay, so you're going to take half damage. The earth sends up a fountain of stone and rock that throws rocks upwards. About half of them hit you, dealing 9 damage. And the human runs back. Let's move him down. And Matthias, that is your turn. Now your movement's going to be halved, just as a reminder.
So I can perform an action and
Yes.
try to. Oh,
I'm sorry, I thought you said, can you perform an action? Yes, you can.
yeah, but can I try and like lose the effect at the end of my round?
Yeah, that'll be at the end of your turn. So
Okay.
Your turn takes place slowed, and then you get a chance to cancel it.
Wonderful. Nice. Yeah.
You were able to see him when he ran out, so you know where he's at. Where he was. He ran north.
I'll like ready in action, cast Sacred Flame at him if I see him step out again.
Okay. Now, this doesn't apply here, but do bear in mind you got a 60-foot range on it. You're more than within your range from here, just for future reference. So your action is readied. And Green Wing, I'm assuming he wants to, do what birds do.
You know what? I'm going to leave Green Wing there. I don't think he's going to be able to help too much in this scenario.
Okay, real quick, Matthias, I just discussed it, but if you want to go ahead and roll your wisdom saving throw, and if you want to ever use your inspiration on something like that, just let me know. But the slow effect seems to be holding on to you.
Okay.
Shaban will yell out, "Augie, call for everybody. We need your help." He yells it, so if they can hear her back, if Ragnar can hear her all the way from there, then he'd hear it.
Yep, and Ragnar will get an initiative at the end of this round as soon as Augie's turn is over. You have complete eyesight with this visibility, Augie, and under the working assumption that you could see, which you could, you know that he came down from in front of Shaban and then ran back up. So you moved your speed, but since you can either, at this point, either take a readied action or move your speed again.
I'll take ready to action when he comes back down. I guess if I'm in reach of him to hit him. Well, no, I guess I could do either one. Just I'll take ready to
Yeah,
action.
he's all the way up in front of that big rock with the 30 feet circle.
Okay.
So you have a short bow, Augie. That will give you the range to shoot up there.
Well, I have a javelin too. Can I throw it?
You can throw a javelin, but javelins have a more limited range of 30 feet before you get disadvantage. So if I'm going to draw an arrow, so if they're further away than this line, like if they're further, like he's obviously a lot further away than that line, you're going to take disadvantage on the attack.
Okay.
I would definitely recommend the bow in this instance. So that's going to be the end. Go ahead and give me an initiative roll on Ragnar. You did good. You did good. And that's Shaban.
She'll move up there. And she will hide as her cunning action. And she will... Hold on. And she'll take a ready to action. Because she sees him, she comes out in the line of sight. And her line of sight's pretty truncated from being pressed up against the rock flat. She's going to shoot him with her bow.
Duly noted.
Okay, Dimble is going to move. And he, does he see the priest?
He does from there.
Okay, alright, so he is going to point his wand right at him and say, "Wiffle waffle!"
Okay.
Eh,
Real quick, before you attack, are you rolling an attack?
I was gonna, cast a spell.
Okay. In reaction to your words, he casts the spell Shield on himself.
Okay, alright.
So let me apply that, and then you can... Okay, so it applied his effect, so you can go ahead and roll your attack now.
Alright, cool. So I'm gonna cast Radiant Sphere right behind me, and I need a token because it's a concentration spell. I can move around.
What size is it?
It's a 5-foot diameter sphere. This is a fire sphere, but I can modify it.
So one square?
Yeah, 1 square, exactly.
All right, there you go. You can stick it where you want it.
Okay, I'm gonna have it appear right behind him, and he has to make a dexterity save. Succeeds. He takes half of 2d6 radiant damage.
This should automatically, if you click the damage, it should automatically calculate it. There we go. Nice.
And that's it. That's my turn.
Okay, so the priest moves away from your happy-go-lucky sphere, and he moves up towards you. As he is moving towards you, you notice that he draws a glaive.
I get my attack. Give a second.
You do. Matthias and Ogie, you don't get your attacks quite yet because there's a stone between you guys. But Shaban, you get your attack with advantage. Don't
Sorry.
really matter. Doesn't really matter.
Got him.
Outstanding.
You shoot him pretty solidly. It hits him pretty good. And your description is wherever you want it to be.
The priest pops into Siobhan's line of view. She pulls the fletching back to her ear and releases in one smooth motion, and the arrow sinks into his thigh.
Okay. Now, as the arrow sinks into his thigh, he kind of stutters a step, but as he gets close to Dimble, he ignores the pain, ignores you, and swings his glaive in a downward arc, and as it comes through, he brings it back around for a second swipe at Dimble.
Wait, I think you're attacking Siobhan.
Yep.
My mistake. I'm glad you caught that. So, but the 21, I'm going to guess hits. I'm going to go ahead and take that damage off. Well, we'll just leave it on Siobhan. No one likes her.
Wait a minute.
But the second attack was an 8, so I'm guessing that missed both of you. But he does manage to cut a pretty solid line right down your chest. There, Dimble.
When Siobhan sees that, she'll yell again as loud as she can, "Hurry!"
So, Matthias, from there, you're still unable to see the enemy. And you can move again or ready in action at your discretion. And then at the end, you'll need to do a wisdom saving throw.
Like,
And with that, the effect of the magic seems to fade away.
Green Wing is staying. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. That's his first movement.
Not through solid stone, it isn't.
Well, okay, he pops around then. It's plus 10. Let me double check. I think it's plus 10 movement at level 3.
It should be 50 feet.
Okay.
I'm sorry, 45 feet.
Okay, there's 45 for the first. Can you skirt that?
Yes.
He'll go another additional 45, and he will use a Kai point. And he will continue on for another 45.
Good
Alrighty.
God, he can move a lot. Jesus.
He had to spend one of his... Ragnar may be pissed off, but he's not here. JD may be pissed off, but he ain't here. And that'll be his turn.
Okay.
I'm trying to... There it is.
Ogie, you can't see him, but you know where he's at. Everybody's screaming, and Dimble seems to be having a relatively bad day. From the noises you hear. When you come around the corner, Ogie, you see Dimble has a bloody slash across the front of his chest. He's not fallen, he's not bleeding to death, he's not bleeding out, but he's definitely been sliced, and the priest is holding a long bladed axe that gives him reach of 10 feet. He's the Black Earth Priest right there, right above you. Let me take these circles off now that everybody's in here.
Well, I've already moved too far.
Right, I just wanted you to be able to see him. I'll just move you back and let you move where you want. That is a miss as it hits his robes, but they are made of small rocks, and the rock turns aside the projectile.
Shaban will step back behind the rock, and she will use her cunning action to hide. Well, no, that's I was gonna go to the other side and shoot, thinking he may think of.
Okay, go ahead. Touch it and find out.
So it says any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of the sphere must make a dexterity saving throw or take the damage. And I am able to move it, and I'm going to move it.
It's okay right now, so let me see if that gives me, Tony. Line up.
That'll be good enough.
Okay. And so Shaban just goes straight out there, staying away from the giant sphere. And Shaban draws her short bow again and fires at the fucking priest.
Yeah.
Your arrow hits his armor, but breaks the arrow.
Okay. And she will use the last bit of her movement to get out of his line of sight.
Okay. So Dimple is going to have the sphere roll up against the back of the priest. It's there, and it rams into him, and he has to make a saving throw or take damage.
Okay, you can just go ahead and have him do that again. He failed that time.
Okay, so that was the bonus action. So then he's going to cast a force bolt cantrip against him.
Hit.
Okay, and then he is going to. He's gonna
Back
move.
to Augie.
He's gonna run towards Augie, just like that.
Protect me!
Okay. The priest doesn't seem to be having a good day being burned by the pyro crew, but he does move to here before he begins casting another spell, which those of you there feel a rumble under your feet as another fountain of earth erupts underneath you, hitting all three of you with rocks and debris as it throws it up into the air, and I'm going to need dexterity saving throws from each of you. Saving throws should be on the right side of your main sheet.
This is gonna be a bad day.
Okay, so Matthias, you manage to shield yourself with your shiny shield as the rocks fly up, and you take half damage, but the rocks fly up and they hit Augie in the chest and head. One rock flies up, hits Dimble directly in his head, and knocks him unconscious. As the sphere fades away, but even at half damage, the rocks hit you in the face and chest and head and do substantial damage to your ability to focus, Matthias.
Crap.
And then he moves back. He should only have 15 movement. And Badger is bleeding from multiple head wounds and unconscious.
Now, before I move, if I was to heal him, would that bring him back, or would it just stabilize?
If any, even a single point of actual healing brings someone back to consciousness.
And then anything above the single
Point just restores life, yes. I mean, so if you heal him for 1, he's going to be back at 1 hit point, but he's also going to be conscious, as opposed to stabilizing, which stops the bleeding but doesn't bring him back.
Okay. Well, then I'd like to where prayer of healing once more with a wave of my hand and
Make sure you target the guys that are right around you, man.
oh, I've targeted every single person that is
You should target the priest too, just because.
yeah, just in case. And I'll just
And that's why you love a cleric. All of the majority of your wounds, Dimble, heal up, and you seem to come back to your awareness, laying on your side, and a little bit of blood that looks, possibly similar to your genetic code.
Say,
Is he
thank
he
you,
in-
Val.
Is he in the fetal position, rocking back and forth?
Not yet, but Matthias, I will point out that you only moved 15 feet, but you're no longer slowed. You can move another 15 if you desire.
I think I'll move behind that.
Okay, I just didn't want to shortchange you. Ragnar, then Ogi.
Well, yep. Ragnar is going to. Oh,
I
damn it.
reviewed this real quick. He should have a total of 100 feet.
Oh, okay. So it's 50 feet. Okay, so 100 feet.
100 feet.
Then he will do 75 there. He closes in. He uses another key point. So that should be 1, 2, 3. That's 3.
Okay.
What he has. And he still can attack.
He gets 2 flurry of blow, 2 unarmed. He can't use his sword.
No, he uses his key point to move up there.
Oh, my mistake. Got it.
Yeah, that's dash. So he should be able to use his sword and then his offhand.
Correct.
Okay. So since he closes, I'm gonna move him there just for ease of
Duly
movement.
noted.
And he will attack the short sword and then misses.
Miss. Miss.
Yep, figured. And swings twice at the Black Earth Priest and misses.
Ogi, you notice this priest throws rocks, does substantial damage to you, completely renders Badger unconscious, though Matthias returns him to life. He seems to be a pretty vicious opponent who is resisting the attacks of your friends. Ogi smash.
Right? Should be the last rage, right?
She didn't have, Ogi's out of rages, so he's doing normal attacks.
That works. But you do get advantage, Ogi.
You swing your hammer, and he steps out of the way and dodges your attack. He seems to be quite skilled at fighting. Yes, you can go ahead and if you want to roll a d6 and see if you can add that in, but once you use it, it's gone. That puts you up to 19, and just on your character sheet, you want to uncheck the dot up by your picture that says inspiration. And that is enough to hit, so I'm going to go you want to make sure to go ahead and do damage with whatever weapon the maul. So that is enough to hit. And the priest